On today's show, Damian Lillard is going to the Milwaukee Bucks. Who saw this coming? What does Dame and Giannis look like together? What happened to the Miami Heat? What do they do now? Did the Blazers get a good trade? So much to talk about on today's Locked On NBA. Let's go.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You're Locked On to the NBA. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On NBA your first listen every day, or in the middle of the day when a Damian Lillard trade happens, a Woj bomb happens. Be in every day or subscribe, follow for free. Just search Locked On NBA wherever you get your podcasts, or on YouTube. We're a 5 times a week show, all kinds of different hosts. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let us know your instant reaction to a Damian Lillard trade. Absolutely insane. But joining me, as always, on a Thursday, on a Wednesday right now, host of Locked On Bulls. What you got for me, Pat the Designer?
Giannis Antetokounmpo said, I have no problem being Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And Milwaukee said, not again! Please, no! Dave,
we'll bring magic to you!
We will bring you magic!
Oh my gosh. We'll talk about the Blazers and what the Blazers did. Did they do well with the Damian Lillard trade? Was it better than the trade Miami was offering? We'll talk about Miami. They missed out on Damian Lillard. Now what do they do? How do they pivot? We'll talk about Phoenix. Phoenix wedged its way right in there and got rid of their former number 1 overall pick that they took ahead of Luka Doncic. And we'll talk about what they got. But I want to start here. We got to start with Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo, teammates now. What is this Milwaukee Bucks team? I mean, is this the number 1 team in the NBA now?
I think you have to talk about it as the number 1 team in the league because even though it didn't pan out last season this way, right, the team was still incredibly deep when you look at it, and I think they still are. I mean, you're still talking about, yes, you have Dame now. Yes, you have Giannis. I think that changes the aspect of, okay, we don't have anybody who's going to be a consistent three-point shooter on this team. I think now you get to pair that on top of the fact that you still have Brook Lopez. You still have Bobby Portis. You still look at this Milwaukee bench. And yes, they did send some pieces out, but you still feel like it's one of the better benches in the NBA. I really like this trade for the Milwaukee Bucks side of things. I think that listen, you're a little bit more top heavy than maybe you were before, but realistically, you still have a team that on any given night can lose one of these pieces and you're still like, oh no, they're still good. They're still set. Right. And of course, right. Like now they got to play the whole, they can't sit anybody. Dame will never sit again, basically, on the Milwaukee Bucks. So we get to see that as well.
Well, yeah, the rest rule is gonna hold. Now he can't just get shut down anymore, which he wouldn't anyway. But
he misses like the last 30 games of the season just to be shut down.
At the end of last season, you and I were so high on this Bucks team, talking about we were talking about they're the deepest team, just like top 5 or 6, and that's usually what you need to win a title. Is you need those top high end rotation players. You need like 5 or 6 or 7 of them. And I thought that the Bucks had that. The problem was, and the big problem going into this year, if you listen to Locked On Bucks and Kane Pittman, they were trying to figure out who's our point guard? Like, who's running the offense right now? Is it just Giannis? Is Chris Middleton? Obviously, Jrue Holiday was the guy that they thought was going to do that. And now Jrue Holiday goes to the Blazers. We'll talk about his situation and what the Blazers are going to do next. But, like, this team all of a sudden has the guy and the piece that they've been missing because they just had trouble last year getting buckets when they needed to. They had defense. They have 2, perennial defensive player of the year candidates in Brook Lopez and Giannis. You've still got, what you can get with, what Chris Middleton can bring depending on how healthy he is. Like you've got that. Like you've got that in the paint and you can make up for it around the perimeter a little bit. But now they've got the guy to get him a bucket and to, oh my gosh, I just thought about this, to spread the floor for Giannis. Like imagine Dame Lillard hitting a 35-foot 3 with Giannis there. Like the amount of gravity he's going to bring to this team is going to open up so much stuff that, yes, they're losing a really great defender in Jrue Holiday. That hurts really badly. Like that's going to hurt against the, the Heats of the world, the, playing against Well,
wait a minute. Not the Heat. You could have said any team. But
okay.
Not the one where he got 107 dropped on his head top in 2 days. Come on, dog.
But who's the team that beat them in the playoffs last year? Like
the Heat, 100%.
Hey, don't put it past me, the Dallas Mavericks guy, to hate on the Miami Heat. But I'm going to give him credit for beating them last year in the first round. But so you lose Jrue Holiday, so you don't have that defensive guy on the wing that's elite anymore. But you've got an elite.
Did Chris Middleton die?
You think Chris Middleton's elite defensively on the perimeter right now?
I think he's a better defender than he is as an offensive player.
Not the same way that Jrue Holiday is, though. Like, and not not the
maybe
point of
not
attack defender that Jrue Holiday
I will give
is.
you that. Maybe not as good off of the point of attack, but you can't sleep on Chris Middleton as the defender on this team. I think he's one of your better defenders on this team, and he always was. The problem with Chris Middleton was Chris Middleton being on the court.
He's going to have to be now, though, because now you bring in Lillard, but you completely changed your offense. Like, just completely changed what it is. By the way, FanDuel, Milwaukee Bucks now the number 1 team plus 360. They already moved them up. It was Celtics the other day. It was Celtics Nuggets. Now it's Bucks plus 360, Nuggets plus 430, Celtics plus 480. So according to FanDuel, at least, they are the favorites. I think they should be, because that duo is the best duo in the NBA now.
I would. Ooh. I feel like it, yeah. I can't say no, because I think here's the thing. You're talking about, to me, Giannis, top 3 defensive player in the NBA, if not the top, right?
I mean, how about let's just do top 3 player in the NBA?
Top 3 player, of course, but I think, right, like when I look at this, I'm pairing that with one of the best offensive players in the league. The thing that we looked at for Giannis last season so much was, hey, not only do you have to be the best defender, you also have to be the best offensive player. Right. You also have to be the best guy in the passing lanes. Everything was on Giannis's shoulders. Now it's one of those moments where, yeah, go ahead, build the Giannis wall. Let's see how that works when Dame's standing back there. Don't let him actually stand at the 3-point line. He could stand 15 feet behind the 3-point line and knock it down if you need him to.
A team can do the trebuchet thing that they used to do in medieval times, where like you have the big wall and you've got the catapults, pull, and then Dame's way back there and they just shoot over the top of the wall.
You literally, by making one move, just destroyed how every team in the NBA played the Milwaukee Bucks. You can't do the Giannis wall anymore.
Put that on a graphic.
I mean, honestly, you can't do the Giannis wall anymore. You just can't.
No.
Because if you do, you're going to allow one of the best 3-point shooters, not only just in the NBA, but arguably in NBA history, right, to be wide open. So now you have to change your defensive style. A lot of teams like to play back. Miami basically just said, you're going to come to us and we're going to let you try and get to the hole. That's the best that you can do. Now you can't play that way anymore. That changes so much. That makes life easier, not only for Damian Lillard, I think, because you kind of got to pick and choose who you want to defend that game, but now also makes life easier for Giannis, who's been dealing with this for 5 years, 6 years now, since he's been a lead at this.
It's amazing just to think about what they're going to look like. They're just going to be so different. Like and now with the new coach too, and Adrian Griffin trying to figure out how to get those guys to play, because we can't look at what we've seen in the past from Coach Bud coached Bucks teams. Like, this is what they're going to be. We don't know. He could change a whole lot for them. And now bring in Damian Lillard. It's all changed for the Milwaukee Bucks. Like, this is a completely different team than what we've seen in the past. They still have such a strength up front. And now they have Damian Lillard that's going to, like you said, change the way everybody's going to have to guard them, to change the way. Think about a Damian Lillard Giannis pick and roll. Like, you're 2 defenders. What decision do you have to make there? Go with a rolling Giannis or stick with a Damian Lillard? Because you can't go under any screen that's set for Damian Lillard. And Giannis is a big screen. Plus, you got Brook Lopez spacing. You got Chris Middleton spacing. And then
I think that's where it goes to, right? We've talked about the Giannis to Dame connection, the Brook Lopez, who's still been an elite spark and defender on this team, Chris Middleton, who, I mean, he has his moments, right? Listen, you guys know how I feel about Chris Middleton. He's a great defender, but he'll give you 40 and then give you 6. So I think that this also takes that part out of his hands, right? He can come out and give you maybe a consistent 15, 20. He's Bosh, and you love Bosh.
I do love Bosh.
You love, who doesn't love
like
Bosh?
A Bosh. Shout out to the no dunks guys. Like a Bosh. This is incredible. The Giannis and Damian Lillard, that 2-man game is going to be so lethal. Giannis has never had a player like this that can space the floor like this, that can give him the ability to operate like that he's going to have. And yeah, the Bucks defense is completely different than what we've seen in the past. I'm really interested to see what it looks like. Plus, we'll talk about this on the Portland side. I don't think they gave up too much to get him. Jrue Holiday, a first-round pick in 2029. That may hurt depending on where Giannis is in his career, and Lillard will probably be gone in the NBA by then. And then, you get pick swaps in 2028 and 2030. And then they gave up Grayson Allen. That's a depth piece that does hurt a little bit. So Jrue Holiday and Grayson Allen, it hurts losing those guys as depth pieces, but you gain so much with Damian Lillard. So coming up, let's talk about the Blazers side of this. What do they get for Damian Lillard? Was it a good enough deal? Was it a bad trade for Damian Lillard? Was it better or worse than the Heat one? We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about DoorDash. I may not be able to go out and get food today, so I may have to just get DoorDash to come in and
an order right now.
Say, let's get on the phone. Let's get DoorDash to bring me food as I stare at my Twitter feed and just going through all the stuff about Damian Lillard. You know that you've used DoorDash in the past for food, for getting stuff brought to your door, but you know that they can deliver groceries that actually deliver as well. With thousands of grocery stores to choose from, you'll find the best in your neighborhood and boost your local economy. With every order that you make, you'll get exactly what you ordered, or we'll make it right. So sit back, enjoy quality groceries just like you picked them yourself, and you can get 50% off your first DoorDash order up to a $25 value and use the code LOCKEDONNBA. Again, use that code LOCKEDONNBA. It's all one word at checkout. Limited time offer. Terms apply. That's 50% off up to $20. No minimum subtotal and zero delivery fees in your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store. Enter code LOCKEDONNBA for 50% off your first order with DoorDash. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA, being part of the show, being an everydayer. We appreciate each and every one of you. We've got a daily show for you on your favorite team. We've got Locked On Bucks. We've got Locked On Blazers. We've got Locked On Suns, Locked On Heat. We've got Locked On Bulls that's going to talk about what this means for the Bulls to have Lillard in now in their division. Who cares about divisions? But they got that. So find a link in the description of this show wherever you're listening to it. Find the team that covers, or the show that covers your team every day. All right, Pat, let's talk about the Blazers side of this. You wanted to do Heat. I'm pushing it down. I'm putting my foot down because this may be the last time we talk about the Blazers.
Who cares?
They're young. They're fun. They got this identity now, and now they've got a center. The Portland Trail Blazers, for Damian Lillard, get Jrue Holiday, who they're probably going to flip. It sounds like from Woj. The Blazers remain engaged elsewhere on deals and are expected to immediately engage contending teams on trade talks to move Jrue Holiday. So it sounds like they're going to get more picks for Jrue. So you get Jrue Holiday, Deandre Ayton. That's a big one from the Suns. Like still a young player, number one pick and a center. It's something that they really needed. Mike Richmond of Locked On Blazers has a graphic that he sends out every once in a while. It says, "Oops, all guards," when it talks about the Blazers. It's like the Captain Crunch, "Oops, all berries." They also get the 2029 unprotected Milwaukee first. That could be a really good one because Giannis and Jrue Holiday, or Giannis and Damian Lillard will be at the end of their contracts probably at that point. And then they get a couple of swaps with Milwaukee too. And so you're looking at, Giannis is that's 3 years after Giannis's contract is done. This unprotected pick comes in 2020. So that's going to be a really good pick for them probably. Thoughts on what the Blazers did? What do you think about this haul? Was it better than what the Heat were offering, the one that we've seen forever, the Hero and a bunch of picks and those guys? And what do you think about this offer they got?
100%, because they didn't want Tyler Hero at any point. They would have ended up having to flip Tyler Hero anyway.
So that's what they're doing with Jrue Holiday. What's the difference between flipping Jrue Holiday and flipping Tyler Hero?
The difference in this is you get DeAndre Ayton out of it, and realistically, you put together the team that you kind of wanted always with Damian Lillard, but you get to start it with a younger core. I know we're all down on DeAndre Ayton. I'm not particularly high on DeAndre Ayton after getting shut down by a center that shall remain nameless who was under 6'8", I believe. How tall was he? He basically shutting them down in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Terrible job. But I think, you get to pair that guy up with Shaedon Sharpe and/or Anthony Simons. I think that's kind of that big man point guard role that you want to see. And if you want your young fellas to be able to grow, having that big man down there that can go in the paint and be able to dominate is something that you want to see. I think that DeAndre Ayton on a team where he'll get a little bit more opportunity to be the number one, which I think is what he weirdly enough wanted.
Yeah, he did.
I think that will be a better situation for him. You're also putting him next to Jeremy Grant as well, so that maybe, Jeremy Grant could space the floor for you a little bit more and open up things down low. I like what the Blazers did here. If you're going to flip Jrue Holiday and try and get some draft capital back, I think that makes a ton of sense for the Portland Trail Blazers, because you want to go with your young guards in this situation, or maybe even flipping one of your young guards and keeping Jrue Holiday. Either way you want to go, Portland has a ton of options here. I like this trade for Portland. Yes, they don't get the draft capital that maybe they wanted from Damian Lillard as a whole, but I do think that you got a really nice piece to build around, and you already had some really nice young pieces on this team as well.
Yeah, the Ayton piece, Ayton with Jeremy Grant, then you've got Scoot and Shaedon Sharpe, Anthony Simons, Matisse Thybulle. Like this is already a really nice collection of young guys that fit together and actually make sense. So and then whatever you get for Jrue Holiday, then all of a sudden can you use those assets and whatever else. Maybe you take the Milwaukee one and then you turn it into something that can help them in a couple years, because this is now Scoot's team, right? As much as you want to say, hey, Ayton gets an opportunity to have a bigger role, Scoot's team now, right? Now you move on to this next stage in this Blazers era. Like now it's the post Dame era. We have to figure out what it is. You can listen to Locked On Blazers to hear more about that, but I don't know if Miami was going to put it doesn't seem like Miami was ever going to put all the stuff on, but I think if Miami had given all the stuff, I think if I'm the Blazers, I take that instead. I think I take the Jovic and Jaime Jaquez and three picks instead of, because now they get one pick and two swaps, and then maybe they get more for Jrue Holiday. I guess their bet is we get more stuff for Jrue Holiday than we would for Tyler Hero.
And you can. And I think here's the thing. Your bet right now is that one of these young guys is going to take a step, and you want to make that transition as easy as possible. That's really what you're going for here. And you also know, listen, we've talked about Portland a ton. No one's going to Portland. Right? This is why Damian Lillard is leaving Portland. Nobody's going to Portland. Right. You have to have one of your young guys hit in this situation for you to be able to be successful and talk about a team that could be a perennial playoff team, maybe a team that makes a run to a finals someday. You have to have these young guys hit, because the only way that Portland's going to be able to get that talent here is through that development. You make that job as easy as possible for Chauncey Billups out there. And I think by bringing in guys who are already have that veteran presence, when you talk about Deandre Ayton and him having a bigger role, I mean, he's your number 2 on this team. If not your number 1, he's your number 2 for sure on this team. If your hope is that Shaedon Sharpe is your next Dame, that's the best option you have right now. You had no option with Tyler as a number 2, or Jovic, or Jaime Jaquez.
You didn't have to say it like that.
I always say it like that because that's what held up the trade. We can't get rid of Jaime Jaquez. If he sticks his leg up on a barrel, he's selling rum down in the Caribbean, bro. Like, come on. Like, we're not doing this,
He's
bro.
the Taylor Horton Tucker of his time, basically.
Come on, dog. What are we talking about here?
It's Scoot, it's Anthony Simons, and then it's probably Ayton to me. I think he's still third on the list as far as like a go-to offensive guy. I don't know if he's getting exactly what he wants. Maybe him and Chauncey Billups work better than Ayton and what Monty Williams did. Frank Vogel was brought in to cool down the relationship with Ayton. Apparently that either didn't work or they punted on that idea. So that isn't going to work. We'll talk about the Suns and what it means for them. But yeah, I like this group of Blazers all of a sudden. I think that this is a good group. I think that they've got their star in Scoot, and I think that he'll, and then he's got complementary pieces in Simons, Ayton, whatever Shaedon Sharpe becomes, Jeremy Grant already. Like, that's a team you kind of don't want to face on a night-to-night basis, because one of those guys could just go off.
And you finally got rid of Nurkic.
Can we talk about addition by subtraction?
They've been trying to get rid of Nurkic for 4 years now.
It's really, I mean, their whole team is gone now. Lillard, CJ McCollum, Nurkic, like that whole group is now gone. And the Blazers really move on, and I'm happy for Blazers fans. Like
I think
it's a good group to move on. It's a good group to move on from.
No, 100%. I think this is a good deal. I like this deal for the Blazers. I think that the Blazers, I've said this for a while, even if Dame remained there, I think that there was going to be a deal that gets done eventually. But I like this young core for the Blazers. And here's the thing, right? A Shaedon Sharpe and Anthony Simon, you're not keeping all of them. Right? Like they're all 6'3", 6'2", 6'1". You're not keeping all of them. So now you can get one of those young guys, maybe with a little bit of hope, flip that guy as well, maybe bring somebody back who's more of a veteran presence. It changes things. I don't think the Blazers are done here by any means.
Coming up, speaking of not being done, the Miami Heat did not get Damian Lillard. The Suns now got in on this too, and they send out DeAndre Ayton. Let's talk about what those teams look like now coming up. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA. Tomorrow's show, Wes Goldberg and Adam Mares will be talking about probably this trade even more. So you'll have more of that to look forward to. Again, check out the local Locked On NBA shows, the link in the description to find your team every day. All right, Pat, we got to talk about the Miami Heat now because the Miami Heat lose out. We'll talk about the Suns as well, but the Miami Heat lose out on Damian Lillard. And was this just Pat Riley overplaying his hand?
Remember when I said at the start of this that we've now gone 4, 5, 6 years of Pat Riley talking about deals that haven't gotten done, and we need to start having a conversation on Pat Riley overplaying his hand. I remember that, and everybody was like, did he say that Pat Riley's not a magician as a GM? Oh, we've seen him do so. He's turned this team into... What are y'all talking about? Pat Riley let Jaime Jaquez hold up a deal.
Do we know that?
That was the last report that I heard.
This is the thing that
the last report that I heard.
This is the thing that
I weren't willing to part from Jaime Jaquez.
This is the thing that I can't stand about today's NBA media is we know so much, but we don't know if any of it is really true at all, right? Like,
listen,
how can you possibly know that Jaime was the guy that held it up? We don't know if they even offered him. We don't know if they offered Jovic. We don't know if they offered all the picks. Like I don't think we know everything.
Well, they only had 2 picks to offer. Miami only controlled its next 2 picks.
Do we know they offered them?
Swaps. Listen, I can only go off of what's reported. I'm not in the building. I don't sit with Pat Riley there. But these guys who do sit in these buildings that are, talking to the higher ups all the time are reporting that Miami put the trade package out there. Portland said it wasn't enough. You want to know why Portland said it wasn't enough? Because the NBA's done just bowing its head to Lord Riley anytime he makes a demand and is too unwilling to move off of a trade. Listen, it is what it is. And you really didn't have what you needed to make the trade in the first place. If Miami had pulled off any sort of trade of what they were going to send to Portland, Portland lost. What player were you sending that made you feel good about the Damian Lillard trade with Dame going to Portland?
Or makes you feel better than DeAndre Ayton? Because that's the one player they got from this that they're not looking to shop already.
None of it. What? I get future picks it's their next 2 picks. They're going to be good. Those are the 2 picks that they have control of. Miami's still going to be a good basketball team. I don't want those picks. And then I get pick swaps later on. Okay, I'm fine. I'm good.
Now you look at Miami, though, and it's Bam, it's Jimmy Butler, it's Caleb Martin, still have Tyler Hero. You were trying to trade him all summer, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen unless they swing something else for him. Whatever is left of Kyle Lowry and Kevin Love, can Jovic and Jaime Jaquez be anything?
Jaime Jaquez. Whatever's left of Kyle Lowry is wild. I thought the Jaime Jaquez name was disrespectful. That's crazy.
Kyle Lowry is on the list of players that the Mavericks didn't get and lost out on that ended up being worse than they thought they were going to be. Like that list of like Darren Williams and Dwight Howard and like Carmelo, like it's so long.
The one thing you know about Kyle Lowry, he's always into the thick of it. So, you got to keep him around.
He keeps it on the down low. What is this team now, though? Where do they pivot to now? Because this team is worse than it was last year.
I think you have to start looking around for consolation pieces if you actually want to go out and compete, right? Like, I don't know if maybe the Bulls are. We heard the Bulls were linked to Tyler Hero. We heard the Nets were linked to Tyler Hero. I think you have to start going out and looking for your consolation piece. Because here's the one thing you do know for a fact: Jimmy Butler can get you to the finals with anything.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing that you do know. You still have Jimmy, you still have Bam. All is not lost, but you do not have a major piece down in Miami. The people that I think this is going to hit the hardest is now 2K has to redo all of their voiceovers for Damian Lillard because Damian Lillard was still on the Portland team, and literally the announcers were like, Dame requested this trade to South Beach for a while you're playing Portland. Dame's been requesting this trade to South Beach, wanted to pair up with Jimmy Butler. We all knew that that this was coming, and we're glad that it finally got done. Like, literally, they're talking about him in South Beach. Kevin Harlan's got work to do.
The idea that I've requested a trade to South Beach and then you end up in Milwaukee, like all the respect to Milwaukee and Wisconsin and the cheese curds and everything. Yeah. That's a different outcome than you expected.
That's a very different outcome. And listen, it's cold. I'm saying this right now, Dave.
And there's lots of beer up there, which
it's cold. There's lots of beer, but Dame's a wine drinker. Dame's a big wine guy. Not a lot of wine in Milwaukee.
Yeah. This Heat team, they've got to pivot onto something else now. I don't know how could the relationship with Tyler Hero be good now, right? After you just tried to trade him for so long.
I think you're still moving Hero. I think you still move Hero to try and probably to some of the teams that were linked. I think Utah was even linked in there as well. You're trying to move Hero to try and bring back a ancillary piece, but you're probably giving up now Hero and your pick, one of your two picks, because they know you're desperate now. They know that you're looking at a 34-year-old Jimmy Butler at this point, and you're saying that's our best chance to win a finals. We're just trying to give him pieces to surround around him. Maybe that means trading with the Bulls for DeMar DeRozan, the Nets for a Miles. Why can't I think of a boy name all of a sudden? Bridges, thank you. And you got to say the right one. That's the thing. You got to say the right one. Charlotte one is crazy right now. Or maybe
you did say Miles Bridges. It's Mikal Bridges.
Mikal Bridges. Jeez, you know what I'm saying.
You did say the wrong one. I was like, dang, Miles.
Dang it.
When you first said Miles, I was like, Plumlee.
or you're looking to Utah maybe for Jordan Clarkson or maybe some magical Lauri Markkanen, bring him down to Miami. I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, the Heat now pivot, and we'll see what happens, because to me, I think they only have like 3 or 4 like high-level rotation players, which is not a place that you want to be at. I know that as a Dallas Mavericks coverer. All right, the Pheonix Suns snuck their way into this. We knew the relationship with DeAndre Ayton wasn't good, and we thought maybe it was just Monty Williams. Frank Vogel was brought in to be somebody that, like, all right, let's fix the relationship with Ayton, because it seems like they're going to need him with Beal, Booker, and Durant to be their core. Now they move on from him and they get Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nas Little, and Keon Johnson. So they get some depth. They get wing depth. Grayson Allen should be good for them. He may start for them. He's probably better than Keita Bates-Diop or whoever else they were going to start in that spot. And then Nurkic is now their starting center probably.
From Jimmy Butler's Instagram.
Oh, here we go.
I have to speak on this.
Here we go.
The quote, the NBA, man, y'all need to look into the Bucks for tampering. You didn't hear it from me, but I heard it from somebody.
Do they need to look into tampering? Do they, Jimmy? Do you think that that's a rampant thing that happens in the NBA? Goodness. Like, what?
You mean like tampering? Well, like Damian Lillard playing Miami by Will Smith on his Instagram page?
What are we talking about? Got to look into tampering. Of course it happens all the time. Also, there's a thing here. It's not tampering if a team allows a player to go talk to another team or allows somebody to. So like there could be all kinds of things in this. Like I don't know about all that with tampering. Like we're in trade. Like, well, okay, first of all, what would they tamper to do? They still had to trade them. The two teams still have to agree on it. Unless there's some under the table stuff, like the Jackie Moon gets traded for like a washing machine. They're like, all right, we're gonna send you some extra stuff. Like we'll send you a brewery equipment. Like we'll send you Bango the mascot. Like we'll send you a bunch of stuff on top of it. We're gonna pay you under the table in cheese curds. Like, okay, you'll take this offer from us, but also we'll give you this stuff off the books. Like what kind of tampering can there be with a trade?
Well, I mean, listen, as a Chicago Bulls fan, no, because it wasn't quick. I was going to say when the Bulls traded for Lonzo, the tampering was because they said the deal came in so quickly. This wasn't quick. I don't know what
it's
they
open.
would be.
It's been open.
I don't know what they would
There was a trade during the NBA Finals.
Yeah, well,
we could have had trades this whole time. Like,
yeah,
get out of here with the tampering thing. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't know what he would be insinuating is tampering. Maybe now he does have like that Jimmy Sly look where it's like he might be
like how he showed up with the really long dreads at media day.
Yeah, I mean, like he might be joking, but hey, listen, that's interesting. That's interesting. Jimmy Butler's saying the Milwaukee Bucks tampered in this deal. I'm gonna be honest with you, Jimmy. If the Bucks basically just said we'll offer you more than pick swaps, they had the better deal. Like, I don't know what you wanted at the end of the day here.
What do you think about the Suns, though? What do you think about what they got now with Nurkic and Grayson out? To me, I think they're worse than they were before, but they are deeper. They've got more shots at, like, they just need some shots at it. They need at least 3 or 4 of these guys. Your Nas Littles, your K Debates Jop, your Yuta Watanabe. Like, you need at least 2 or 3 of these guys to be good. So maybe they get more shots at it. I think going from Ayton to Nurkic is like, that's a big downgrade. Offensively, you've got some extra stuff. Nurkic is a better passer and can do some things, but defensively, like,
well,
that was a rough watch in Portland last year.
Your question with Nurkic is health, right? It's the same question.
It is not. It's not even. It's not even that to me though. Like, it's his feet on defense.
Well, I mean, listen, this is the Pheonix Suns philosophy. We will outscore everyone, and we don't care, right? Or maybe this is the Suns. Here's maybe a sneaky one on here. Are the Suns finally going to give Bol the chance that he's been waiting?
Oh, here we go.
Do you not go starting center number 11 Bol?
Here are their players over the height of 6'9". Kevin Durant, Bol, and Nurkic.
Yeah.
And Udoka Azubuike is on a 2-way. That's it. Everybody else is 6'9" and under.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I like
6'9" or less.
I like Nurkic. I'd give Bol a shot.
6.9 seconds or less.
Because it's nice. I'd give Bol a shot here. What do you got to lose? You no matter what, you have question marks at your center position. Here's the thing: before this trade went down, you had question marks at your center position.
If he liked the team, you didn't have question marks with him on the court.
Who?
Ayton.
DeAndre Ayton?
You knew what he was. You knew he was at a certain level. With Nurkic, like, I'm not sure he's coming in, and I don't know if that I don't see that as a good move.
I don't think that Ayton wasn't a question last year.
Like, they made the finals with him as the starting center.
Well, yeah, they did.
Well, yeah.
They didn't last year.
Well, yeah, they did.
Listen, they didn't last year.
No, but they made the second round and we're fine. Like, he couldn't guard.
In fact, the year before that, when literally all they needed was DeAndre Ayton to have a game, he gets shut down by people that are much smaller than him.
Well, and so they bring in Beal, and now he's the answer to when you can't get anything going offensively with Ayton. You bring in Beal, and that's the guy you could do that with. My question now is, they couldn't stop Jokic before. Who's coming in and even trying to stop Jokic? It's his old friend Nurkic, who he started over, and Nurkic got mad at him back in Denver. And like, it's Kevin Durant or Bol. Yeah. Like, that's who you're looking at with this. I mean, there's not a lot of size on this team all of a sudden.
I think the same question marks you had the entire time you still have, because we didn't know how Ayton fit in with this team. We knew Beal was going to see shots. We knew Durant was going to see shots. We knew Booker was going to see shots. If all we're doing is asking for DeAndre Ayton to go down there, stand there, and grab rebounds when they miss, then you did the right thing by trading DeAndre Ayton. If we're asking DeAndre Ayton to be a scorer, to be an actual part of the offense, that's a very different situation. But I don't think on this team you were asking him that.
He at least could bring the things that they need: defense, rebounding. Can play at least like 30 to 34 minutes a night. I'm not sure you're doing that with Nurkic. Like, I think there's more questions now at center than what we had before with this team. So there's a lot. You can go listen to Locked On Suns. Maybe they're much higher on it than I am. It seemed like they were questionable about a Nurkic for Ayton trade at a certain point, but they get Grayson Allen, Nas Little, Keon Johnson. Like, that's good depth for them on the wings. They've got a lot of wings now. I think that's a good move for them. But all of a sudden up front at center, like, you got kind of nothing at that point, at least to me. So there you go. Go find all the other shows. Lots of stuff on Locked On Bucks, Locked On Blazers, Locked On Heat, all Locked On Suns. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On NBA.
Bye bye.
Boom.